Hi, this is George and Lauda Leon of Southern Key. Today we're going to be discussing a topic based on an incident that happened on 18th of December 2017 in Dupont, Washington. And the reason why this event was so important is because the event is a signalling and a statement of intention. The Amtrak rail disaster was a ritual of foreshadowing, and it all revolves around the Cascadia subduction zone and the threat to that region, which has already been reported of in warning via the same initiates themselves who give signallings before certain events as per their law.
The Cascadia Fault is an earthquake waiting to happen. We know it's going to happen with an energy 30 times the maximum energy of the San Andreas Fault.
This earthquake would last 4 minutes or more, the rattling and the shaking, and then within 15 minutes they estimate this wall of water. In the entire inundation zone, you could have water up to 100 feet high.
That's right, and in the inundation zone we have 70,000 people that have almost no clue as to what could happen. You know, in Japan, you have to live with earthquakes every day. Children go through tests and drills. People are conscious of this. But in the Pacific Northwest, it barely rates on the radar screen.
There's something that happens before the shaking that we can sense, sensors can pick up. That's an early warning system that they have all over Japan, especially in the north and in the Tokyo area. They've been trying to get it pushed through, look for money for it in the Seattle-Tacoma area, nothing.
That's right. Before the earthquake actually hits, there's a compression wave that is detected by animals, for example. Animals start to act very strange, and we've seen that happen before earthquakes. And then a minute, 2 minutes later, boom, you head for the hills because there's nothing left to do except to go to high ground.
We can't be sure exactly when this is going to happen, but we're positive it's going to happen. If you lived in the Pacific Northwest, you had little kids, would you live there?
I'd think twice. I would have to drill them just like what they do in Japan, be part of their life in terms of having an emergency kit, where to go in case of an emergency, what to do, what frequencies to go to, and so on and so forth. And by the way, we know that this is going to happen because by simply drilling into the seafloor, we can see evidence of ancient tsunamis going back 10,000 years. And we know that
there have been how many over that period?
41. Which means that the time between the cycles is about 240 years.
Wow.
And it's been 315 years since the last big one. Now, of course, this is not rigorous, it's not absolute. But according to this figure, we could be overdue for another big one.
Yeah, by many decades. It's nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Really weird and scary.
That's right. And, you know, within the lifetime of some of our viewers, they may see Seattle and Portland destroyed.
So I don't want to get too much into all the coded numerology. The first thing I did notice, however, is that they reported there being 77 passengers and 7 crew aboard. Now, my intuition tells me that's not true at all because this was a false flag event. And even though real people can die in false flag events, I don't believe it was the case with this derailment. But the 777 was there in reporting because this is all part of the 777 N times Janus code activations, which are orchestrated as part of the elites establishing their kingdom. And this event is a large part of that early initiation stage of corralling and strategically setting off chains of events in a cascading motion to achieve their aims. There is a reason why they chose the train that they did, the location they did, and all the other numerology, because it's all coded. This event was a coded event, signaling for their own people to also be aware of what is in motion and what has been set to occur by their own hand. So they chose a carriage. And the first thing I noticed when I saw the carriage is that it wrote Cascades on it, which is a direct reference to the Cascadia subduction zone. The route that they chose was a maiden route, which was going from Seattle to Portland. Now, the reason that is symbolic is because that is where the most damage is going to occur when this plate slips. And the train derailing was a slipping off the tracks, which is also metaphoric of the plates that are going to be slipping. And it is no coincidence also, in furtherance, that there was a mass casualty drill that was staged that very day.
The mayor tells me, ironically, today they were doing training for a mass incident, mass casualty incident, and that he was here along with many other agencies planning their day when this situation and this...
Now, that wasn't because that there were casualties or high casualties based on what occurred on the day. It's because it was a metaphor for the mass casualty event that will occur when they trigger these fault lines. And there are already emergency service preparations already that have been conducted in operation because they know that this event is going to occur, the planners. So they have had to plan for this already, and we'll be linking a video which shows that has occurred. Though they have underestimated the figures of the deceased, it will be a lot higher than what they've reported. If my memory serves me well, they've said there would be 13,000 deceased. We're talking hundreds of thousands, potentially. We're talking about a megathrust quake. These events occur periodically under stress. However, they can be engineered in terms of them triggering what is already unstable.
And they usually use newspapers and all media outlets to do this. So they have,
yes.
They concoct things like this to be able to, quote, give them the actual warning that is disguised under another event.
Yes, in their own language and coding that they recognise as initiates.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, good point. The derailment occurred near a bridge or an overpass that had the word lab rat Nats, and it has been reported by locals that graffiti had been placed there from years before. Now that may very well be the case, but the fact of the matter is that they chose the point of derailment, and that message, that slogan was meant to be there in the frame. Now, I think it is fair to say that those who are aware of how these Illuminati look at certain people as chattel and cattle, and that humans, even from the interdimensional hostile forces that are operating here, see us as vermin and beings that they can crudely experiment upon. So it is no surprise to me that they chose the message to showcase in the frame. So lab rat Nats, if you invert Nats, which is interesting that it was spelt with a K instead of a G-N-A-T-S, it was K-N-A-T-S, so the inverse of that would be stank. Now, when there's a whole bunch of deceased bodies, there will be stench, to put it bluntly. So again, that's part of the signalling for those with the eyes to see and the ears to hear that this is a foreshadowing ritual of the mass casualty event that is going to be in the works. And they also planted another symbol on the carriage, which was deliberately released in the press for people to see and for their own to recognise, and that was the X within the circle. And that is a symbol connected to ritual. It has been used in movies. It has been applied in songs, my research uncovered. And I will be linking and supplying evidence of that where this symbol has been used, because it is an esoteric symbol used by the magicians. And I'm not claiming to be an expert in the esoteric arts. I am not an initiate. I'm not claiming to know exactly what all these symbols reference. However, my intuitive guidance is telling me that it is a reference to the passage of death.
Yes.
And it has everything to do with death rights.
And the infinity system.
So in the financial world, the X represents the rising, and the O, or the circle, represents the fall. So yeah, that's how they apply that in their point and figure charts. So
although it's an inverted reality system. So that being said, if they're going to put something out there for the people to see, they're going to invert it. Chances are, because the X in the circle perpetuates infinity, the infinity systems, and the X is the point of sacrifice.
So you're saying it could be the passage of sacrifice, and then the ceiling,
yes,
is the containment.
Yes, totally.
So those who are trapped within that path are contained.
Yes.
If they fall prey to that ritual.
Exactly. Hence the circle around the X.
Okay. It's all very interesting. And look, I would invite anybody who is versed in these symbols. We appreciate input because, like I said, this is not that has not been our path of calling to enter the esoteric arts
or any other arts.
Yeah, we've been given other talents, but yeah, we have not been led into that through that door. So, but we were allowed to see this Amtrak event for what it was. And as soon as I shared the link to Lauda, because she doesn't follow news media, where mainstream media is concerned, then she recognized the same thing that I did straight away. So, and really, based upon a lot of the other intense news that we've put forward, a part of me didn't even want to bring this forward because I don't like the idea of scaring people. But I see what I see, and I can't just sit back in recognizing this for what it is. And apparently, there's another individual named Mark Elkin who apparently is connected to insiders who also warned that there is a pending Cascadia event. So that just added veracity to what we already were aware of prior, including what Lauda has been shown in regards to that region, because she has been shown.
In which case, they're going to use that as the reason to take over martial law in the entire West Coast.
To bring in martial law.
So the East Coast is going to be hit differently, and the West Coast will be hit. So this is them coming in, and
absolutely, it's all been planned in advance. It is a game of chess to them. They are several moves ahead, and they have contingencies for how people will react to different kinds of events. So they always have plan Bs and Cs and Ds and Es always at the ready. We're not dealing with stupid people, and they do have the technological advancement, though I don't want to give power to them, but the fact remains that they have been given authority to execute certain events based on cause and effect principles, which humanity has allowed.
And given them.
So we have relinquished a lot of our power by our deeds, and negativity feeds negativity. So that's how the principle works. And the more negativity that we have brought forward, the more that the negative factions have been empowered to execute negative events.
And through omission.
Yeah.
So when you accept what they put out and you don't do anything about it, and you do not have a voice to state that you do not agree then that is consent to them.
Well, the ignorance is a show of apathy, because then you're not even resisting on your, if you're not even aware of certain events, if you're not even a seeker to be aware of certain events in the planning, then you can't even apply your own resistance to being subject, in effect, to their plans.
No.
You know, you can't get activated yourself.
Yeah.
If you've chosen ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's a lot of cause and effect in motion, and
this is the year for them to be putting all of this forward and in motion. Actually,
yes.
This has always been the plan. This has always been exactly what they wanted to do, but this is actually the year that a lot of things are going to be pushed through in motion, and they're just laying it out there for everyone to see and to know. And they've been doing that through movies and comic books and all manner of media for years. So, but when you start seeing something like the Amtrak event, that is absolutely, unequivocally a timestamp, because they're saying it's near.
Well, yeah,
And
it's certainly an
that
indicator.
was their clock. So at the same time frame, what was published was that it's no longer the 11th hour. It is.
Well, it's closer to midnight.
It's closer to midnight,
Yeah.
and so
Well, that's a ritual.
They published that as well, which is them saying that that's the hour that we're in.
Well, I mean, that is a ritual in itself, you know.
Exactly, and because this is this is their real reality. REEL. This is going according to plan. It's going according to everything. Even with all the time manipulation, this has not diverted in any way, shape, or form the actual time frame. And this is what people don't get.
Well, well, according to what you're being shown and the timeline that you're being shown, everything is in its place. So because what you were shown also, I mean, you were shown from the king. So he knew all the timeline manipulations that were going to occur as well.
All of them.
You know? Mm-hmm. He knew everything that they were going to.
Everything. And that's why I was shown the real. Yeah. I was actually shown the real.
Another thing that was notable about this incident involving the derailment is that the very next day, Lauda informed me that there was an emergency broadcast that suddenly came on the cable.
No, yeah, it was cable, Netflix. It was the entire television, literally. Like, I went out of cable, went into Netflix, and then I went into the Android, and it was just like literally on the TV itself.
Okay. And what did it say?
Well, it said that this was not a broadcast for a real event, but when you would see this, you would have to pay attention to the message and do the instructions it gave you. Like, it actually said that you had to follow the instructions that it would give you and go and do that and go to where they're telling you to go.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And like, I've never seen one like that ever. And I've never seen one here in British Columbia ever.
Most interesting. And
in Ontario, I've seen them in Ontario. Okay. And they were never like this. Like, they never said that you have to listen to the directions we give you of where to go immediately. That's actually what it said.
There you go, guys. So the very next day, after what we're telling you was a ritual signaling. They signaled it in the mass media in BC. So you don't know if that was a nationwide. That was for BC. Well,
I don't know.
You were residing in BC, so you know that was definitely for BC, and they actually informed you that the next time that this comes on, it will not be a drill.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And British Columbia, of course, right? We're on the West Coast. So this is literally the West Coast where the Cascadia is going to hit.
Well, we already had our own private warnings about getting out of that region, because we actually lived in the outskirts of Vancouver for a time, and we also lived on Vancouver Island also. So we were given our own personal signalings to leave.
Which we did.
Yeah. I don't want to testify to my part because it was disturbing. But let's just say that the message hit home to get out. And yeah, all I'll say is that I experienced the drowning. So should I say that?
Yeah, I think you should tell people, honey, because this is a warning.
All right. So basically, the warning I was given is that I was in a vehicle with Lauda, and this is while we were living in the outskirts of Vancouver, and I was given the experience of being in the car with her, and we're holding hands, and water was filling up the car, and to the point of drowning. So, and prior to that, you received your own message as well in warning to get out also. Now, in saying that, we're not going to try and pinpoint a time frame. We're not here to do that, and we don't know. All we do know is what we're reporting, and that is that this event is pending and it will happen. And we have been personally warned, and now everybody has been warned, because that ritual was put out there for those with the eyes to see and the ears to hear. We told you that it's the mentally and spiritually the fittest that are going to endure and even physically survive through a lot of these planned events. Not all will be planned, but many will be. They have a kingdom to establish, and they have a time frame to do it. So a lot of these planned events are all in accordance with setting up their greater control, the stripping away of liberties, which is also the symbolic event of raping the virgin, as we reported in previous video, which is what will occur on the east coast of the United States. So this is all in accordance with long-range planning and ritual magic practices. And they have been placed in effect, and they have been announced. And we, in turn, announcing it for the wider public and for those who are meant to be brought to our message. We know that the good family is going to lead people, those who are meant to receive the message to our channel. So if, you know, we're not going to force anything. We have a message, we're bringing it forward, and the rest is out of our hands because we don't feel that it's for us to go and force our message on other forums or platforms. So the way we look at it is, if other people who are influential or have larger channels influenced, and if the truth of what's coming, if it hits them, if it strikes at them hard enough to on-share this message, which is of vital importance, then you are free to do so, and you are free to refuse to do so also. So that is out of our hands. And we leave that with our good family, who is overseeing us and our work, and also allows us to see certain things where others may not. And again, I'm not saying that in an egocentric manner, but it is what it is. Not all our lenses are the same. And you know, where we lack in certain talents, others can fill in the gaps also. Like I say, with Mark's messages, he has a scientific background. I don't. We don't. And he's doing a lot of great work as well, you know, informing about the geophysical workings and whatnot, and the planetary cosmic workings. So yeah, we applaud his efforts, and hence why we're mentioning his name.
Mark Elkin.
Yeah, for people to follow his work. And yeah, I'm very, very impressed with what he's put forward so far, and confirms scientifically a lot of what we've been shown.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
That's always welcome. We're going to include links to the XO being used in one of Beyonce's tracks called Initiation, of all things. Yeah. And hopefully it gives people something to think about. Because really that's what we're here to do. We can't prove anything. We can only testify and provide leads and provide a possible ping for those who resonate. So another very noteworthy and symbolic aspect of this Amtrak train derailment, which happened on 18th December 2017, being a 22 numerology, was that the region that the train derailed at was Dupont. Now, if you go by the French, du means two, and pont is a bridge, an axle, and I check my notes here because I'm not really brushed up on my French. It is also deck. So we have a bridge or an axle or a deck that is going to be divided. Again, this is a signaling that the Cascadia subduction zone is going to go off, and that the tectonic plates will be slipping just as that carriage slipped off its tracks. There will be a tectonic plate slippage and a megathrust effect in quaking. This is our alert. It is not to be alarmist. This is an alerting.
I think that what they published says it all. I mean, all of it. The 777 also is huge. Okay, this is like a very big sign. The 777, which is the artificial systems of the much more sophisticated version of reality that they want to simulate, which 5G has a lot to do with this. So
yeah, it's their next phase. And that's the thing. This year does indicate the movement towards the new phasing, the new platform of their system. I'll just call it the Antichrist system. So, yeah. Another thing that I didn't mention, I'm glad I remembered now, is when they hauled the carriages away, there was a company that was utilized, and there were markings in symbology, even in the company that was utilized to haul those carriages away. And you see not only the XO there again, but you also have the symbol of the ox.
Yeah, because the new system that is coming in is attributed to this ancient god of the antiverse being fused with this new, much more sophisticated version of reality, which they are hoping to be able to do prior to the splitting. There's more than Beyonce bringing out the XO because they want this imprinted in people's minds, because when these events happen, like the Cascadia it's working on subliminal levels. So they're utilizing not only Beyonce, but The Weeknd as well.
Oh, no. You mean The Weeknd?
The Weeknd, yeah.
Because that's what this whole agenda with the GMO foods, the chemical spraying, guys, the Wi-Fi grid.
Yes, the GMOs, everything, the chemtrails, the GMOs, everything that is weakening. And this is the Agenda 21, by the way, which is genocide. It is genocide in the long run because they have put it in the Georgia Stones. And the Georgia Stones say what they want, how much of the population they want to be here, and what they want to remove.
Well, that's also a ritual signaling as well. So again, you know, it's all put in our faces. It's all in plain sight for those who care to seek the information out and come across these things, to know who their adversary is in their midst. And that's why it's important that we know who our adversaries are and to recognize them, so that way we won't just fall into blind trust of establishment and governments. You know, the governors of the mind, again, they tell you right there, the government is not your friend. Now, they're performing a role. We're all going to choose who wants to get on board with the program and who's going to resist the program and take the cues, which they themselves are giving you as part of their game. You know, their chessboard operation. They are providing both the white squares and the black squares in their game. So who's going to recognize? Who's going to break the spells? And who's going to be subjected to the spell crafting? Because this whole reality system works upon sorcery. Or I should say inverted alchemy and inverted sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're providing their creative power for the inverse, and it is up to us to provide our creative power for our positive evolution and to work against their platform.
However, they're utilizing everyone's mind to do their magic.
Yes, and to go along with their will.
Oh, yeah.
So, for example, looking at those who they tell you is the enemy, and then going and joining a military force to go and go and murder someone you don't know abroad,
or even just parades.
You know, and this, by the way, this is why the suicide rates are so high. Okay, with military forces. Okay, the paid mercenaries, because they've breached universal law by going abroad to murder someone based on a lie and murdering when they haven't been engaged against first. You have gone out of your way. You know, that's not defense.
No.
So, but again, all that is gauged on, and people judge themselves in that. At the end of the day, this is why people turn against their own selves in that, and that there is a negative authority which is allowed to breach against them for their intention applied.
That's why they call them soldiers. Soul dies. Those that die in the soul, because it's a concocted war that isn't even real. It's based on the duality system. It's based on providing the chaos and division that keeps this duality reality in inversion going. So
that's it.
Everybody that goes and agree and does that is a part of that. They're saying that they're complicit in enacting the sacrifice of the soul dies, soldiers in that.
Yeah, the soul dies. Well, essentially they are signing up to become pawns in the game, and also signing up to be used on many other malevolent levels and in other projects. And they also give authority for these handlers to use their children as well.
All these wars are completely contrived, and it's artificial. Yeah. It's to generate the illusion of
energy harvesting. all of it.
Yeah. So they don't care which side you're on. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them.
As long as there's a harvest.
Yeah. So you're just, you know, if you're going to pick a side, you're going to be neutralized. That's it.
No. Which is different to individual defense and defending your loved ones from a hostile force, which you know is there with intent to kill you.
Yeah. Completely different.
Yeah. So the benevolent family knows all our intentions. They read our hearts. They examine us. Every hair on our head is counted for. And ultimately, we choose our bearings and what the consequences will be at the end, based on willful ignorance, because that's a choice as well, to be ignorant, to not want to know certain things. I mean, I encounter that a lot with people. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
But that's a vote. That's a vote for ignorance.
Totally.
So you will then be subject to an adversary that you don't even want to recognize is there and working against you to your detriment. So you will therefore be greater prey to the enemy you don't know.
Yeah.
And many have been checkmated in that kind of position because they've been seduced by the world and overcome by the world at the end of the day. And but the good news is that things can be turned around if there is a sincere will to do so.
Yeah, you have a choice.
And there can be assistance given with that, with those who the good family knows is sincere to turn the wrongs to right, to turn their weaknesses to strengths, because that's a big part of what we're here to do, because all of us here have come in with weaknesses. Okay, let's not take away from what we are here in the flesh.
I want to say something about the good family, because I really feel like this needs to be said about this. I don't want people thinking that they can just go into the good family and then everything is according to the good family and what they're doing out there. This is us, okay? We have created this. We are creators from the very beginning, from the inception of the spark that was created from the deep. This is us. This is our baby. We created this. Very important that we realize that our creation stems from ourselves here. It starts from our own atoms and the first cell of our own creation in our thought manifestation of everything we agreed to from the beginning. The good family does help, but it's up to us. This is our creation. This is our baby. This is us and for us to go and undo it and to make it right and to do what we need to from ourselves.
So yeah, I just want to give Laura an opportunity now to testify on what she's been personally shown of events relating to Cascadia and the West Coast and the pending quake, because she's known about that for how long now? Have you been aware of this knowledge?
Since I was about 7.
Yeah, because I know that you described it to me early in our relationship as well. Feel free to share what you've been shown or experienced. I should actually say that a lot of times we use the phrase shown, but it's not like just a dream where you're shown. Like a lot of times we're actually planted within the experience to actually experience the event itself, especially when you related to me what you experienced on the southern part of Vancouver Island.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to discuss any of that, whatever you're comfortable with.
I never even knew that Vancouver Island existed until I was shown what I was shown. So I was shown that humongous earthquake occurred, and it seemed more like it actually felt more like a pole shift because it was that big. It was that big of an earthquake that took the island and it moved it up closer to Alaska and out further into the Pacific. But I saw that the southern part of the island sank, and a new arm of territory came up and rose from the shifting, because everything completely moved. And so the island ended up looking different, and it was in a totally different location from this event that happened. And that everything on the West Coast was no longer the same. And martial law was claimed everywhere, and the military came in from the United States and took over. And they were met with a lot of hostility from small groups of people who were fighting the American military, because they were coming into Canada and taking over from the event. So there were a lot of mini wars that were happening everywhere while they were trying to take over martial law. But the whole area, not just the island was actually, because it had been moved to where it was moved, it was probably in the best location given the martial law. Although the southern part was no longer there of the island. So, but the island itself, I would have to say, would probably be a good location when all of this happened, because the entire West Coast was, yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. So I saw the wars. I saw the groups of people, of the Canadians, who grouped up together with their guns, and they were fighting the U.S. Army. It was the U.S. Army. It wasn't the Canadian Army that came in and did martial law. It was the Americans.
Okay. So it wasn't UN troops as well. You're saying it was directly the US military that they were resisting?
Yeah.
So obviously the Canadians would have been aware that they were coming in to establish an arm of the US?
Yeah.
Like a new province?
Yeah, it was almost like they... I was shown a map that said the Canada of the United States of America.
Canada of the United States?
Yeah. Which means that they wanted to take it over. Okay. When all of this happens, the East Coast at that point will have been hit too. So, you know.
With the tsunami or the tactical nuke?
Both.
Okay.
Because the tactical is first, then the tsunami second.
Okay. But which tsunami? But if my memory serves me correctly, you said the first major tsunami happened on the West Coast, not the East Coast.
Right. Right. But the first nuke is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So let me get the timeline right, according to how you've experienced it. Tactical nuke, Eastern USA.
Mm-hmm.
Then a megathrust quake on the West Coast.
The first one, because there's two. Because there's two.
Okay. So all right, that's a spanner in the works. So you're saying that there's going to be two major quakes. Which one's the most severe?
The second.
Okay. It's important people have that information. But obviously there will be tsunamis generated with both quakes.
Yeah.
Like significant tsunamis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in a way, at least the first event will be a signaling for exodus.
Right.
By those that make it through.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure they'll realize that the area is not stable.
The second one is going to be massive. Massive. Massive.
Is that the one where, will that involve the San Andreas Fault as well?
The second one.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to share on that could be relative or that you're comfortable sharing at this point in time?
I want to say that I want people to follow their spirit, because I have the faith to feel like people have been given their own whisperings. So I think it's important to pay attention to it and not to stall. Because their plans and what they have had in the workings for a long time, they're coming to fruition. So
yeah,
we're at a critical juncture now that, I mean, there's still time. It's just, and I don't want people to freak out, but you know, everything in moderation. If you're getting the warning, if your spirit's telling you something, you just got to listen to it, and you got to pay attention and do what you're inclined to do, and to go where you're feeling you need to go.
Mm.
I mean, anywhere on the coast, anywhere in the world right now is not a good idea. I don't care where you are in the world, if you're close to the coast.
With the first tsunami on the west coast,
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that the troops will come in from then? Is in the firefights?
Yes.
Even from the first one?
Yes, because there's going to be a lot of destruction.
Okay.
You know, it's going to be enough for them to feel that they can start moving in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's somebody who, he is, I think, a geographer, and he does a lot of study into the pole shift and the actual science behind the tectonic plates and everything.
A geophysicist?
Yeah, and he has a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to remember his name, and I can't remember his name, but I did reach out to him. I actually emailed him, and I told him what I had seen, to see if it was if there was any veracity to what I had actually been shown, in terms of even where the island was located and how much it moved up and out, and how the new arm of land came up when the tip of the southern part went down. And he said that he had done studies on Vancouver Island, and I think he is from Vancouver Island, actually. And he said that according to what I described, as per what I was shown, I was actually more precise than even his calculations.
Yeah. Yeah, not that I felt you needed that. I mean, you know that the things that you've already been shown as well have already transpired as well. So if anything, it's just, we don't testify to things that unless we're very, very sure and that we've done our due diligence. And in this matter, we certainly feel we have. Though please do not ask us for timeframes. It would be irresponsible to try and pinpoint anything of precision regarding that. We just feel that if we're revealing this now, then I feel that people would have a particular amount of time to get themselves ready, you know, to be brought out, because I feel that there is a reason why the timing is now for us even to release this as well. So I feel that even those that engineer these events give people an opportunity of time to get out. So this, you know, hey, this could be, you know, still some time away, but within what's, you know, would be measured as a reasonable amount of time according to those who have performed this ritual. And to them, they've announced it, so it's on, you know. And but I feel that there is a reasonable amount of time given that they provide for people to get out. But that's for the audience members and their own spirit to then work with that. I feel we've done our bit. and we ourselves got out. Yeah. That's the main message we wanted to bring out in this segment. You know, I know it's another intense one, and I don't want that to be the mode. You know, but again, this is all according to its stages, and this ritual came just 2 months after I felt prompted to bring up the warning for the Cascadia region. So to me, it just affirmed my own promptings as well, why I was even bringing that up, you know, to begin with.
And there is a lot of numerology to what was published with regards to that event.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know how to decode all that because I'm not in that sanctum. So I don't even want to. I just know that the 777 is relevant to the end times activation, but I know where my limits are as well. And you know, so I'm not going to even try and decipher every number, every symbol, every meaning to like some precise measure.
I don't think we have to.
No, I don't. I don't feel that. I feel that what we've testified to today has gotten the message across, hopefully loud and clear. We got very, very energetically hit. We both did before starting this segment. You know, my mouth was drying up suddenly. Everything, it was like, you know, there's certain elements I felt that don't want us bringing this message forward, but we have, and we're going to continue to put out what we feel is relevant and vital, according to how we're nudged and according to what, you know, we see and have been allowed to see and know. And
according to, I haven't even really begun to share what I've been shown, so that's yet to come. Yeah.
Well, I know that you do that in accordance to your own wisdom and your spirit. So
there's been a lot of questions from people, and I want to acknowledge that. We will be addressing the questions that are pertinent to each work that we do by the work that we do. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I've written quite a few down, which I felt that do warrant addressing and further to add.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to what we can. We have quite a workload. We also have a life, you know, outside making videos as well, and you have your studies as well. So
there will be a part 3 that we will be doing to the crossing videos.
Yep, and maybe a part 4 and 5, and depending on how much it needs to be added.
And I will be explaining in deeper detail about the phasing and the densities, because I know people are very, you know, confused. So I'll be going into that more so.
So we'll continue to keep bringing forth what we feel is important to, and and we're not robots either, so we're not going to just pump out videos just for the sake of producing. I mean, we also produce according to our spirit, and you know, so yeah. But we do thank people as well for their patience thus far, and it is our intention to produce more and get more information out there.
Well, yeah, and because I haven't begun really, so there's a whole lot more, and it'll just come the way it needs to come. So
yep, you're going to be an editor's nightmare, I'm sure, you know, me being the editor.
We don't want anyone to feel inundated or overwhelmed by this information. Just like the elites are using the information that they have concocted and created to alert their kind, we are doing the same. So we are doing the same to give an edge to people and to give everyone plenty of opportunity. So along with the messages that may appear to be heavy, there's also a lot of positive aspects to this, because we have to remember that this is our universe, and we have to take that back. And all of this is a part of that. So if we keep that in mind, and we keep in mind the power that we have every day and in every choice that we make, then we can take back our universe.
Okay. You're referring to individual universe, correct?
Individual and collective. I am speaking about the here and now. This is a key. All right? You can know and have knowledge about the future, but you have to be in the here and now. In the here and now, this is your universe. Collectively, we create our universe. So collectively, we choose and can choose and make choices according to our own gnosis. And this is the power. Okay? This is the power collectively. This is the power individually. You choose individually. You choose collectively. It is the universe you reside in. So this is what I'm talking about in the here and now.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is where the power is.
And it is a good thing for that to be clarified. So yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next segment.